After 3 long years in management consulting, I was tired and bored. I can still remember the excitement and joy in my face when I eventually got an offer letter to work within a venture capital firm. But as soon as I started reading through my job description, all of the joy will soon be overtaken by several questions. I read in my offer letter that you'll be responsible for deal sourcing, deal review, deal structuring, and deal execution. I can still recall asking myself, what does that even mean? It's been one whole long year trying to answer this question. And in this video, I'm going to focus on just talking about deal sourcing. And I'll try to help you to understand what deal sourcing is all about. Why do VCs engage in deal sourcing in the first place? Why is it important? And now how you, as a founder, can better position yourself to get into the pipeline of a VC firm when they eventually engage in deal sourcing. Without further ado, let's get started. All right, let's start with answering the most important question. What is deal sourcing? Deal sourcing is all about the process of looking for potential investment opportunities that a venture capital firm will want to invest into. And as you're going to realize in this video, that it is the most important aspect of the success of a venture capital firm. Because to a large extent, the success of any venture capital firm depends on how much they're able to identify potential winners and then invest into them. In fact, the worst nightmare of a VC firm is not really investing in a company that is going to eventually fail, because it is well understood within the industry that because of the high risk involved in making startup investment, the majority of the startups that a VC will invest into will end up failing. But the worst nightmare of any VC firm is missing out on that company that is going to be the next big thing. Missing out on that next Facebook that could potentially give that VC firm 500 times returns of their investment, or even 1,000 times returns of their investment. So what VCs tend to do to mitigate against this risk is that they put active efforts towards building out their deal pipeline to ensure that they have enough deal flow such that they have enough exposure of potential startups within that particular ecosystem. Now, in this video, before I go into talking about 6 different strategies that VCs tend to employ when it comes to deal sourcing, there is an interesting data that was a survey that was conducted by Harvard Business Review that I would like us to go through together. Now, according to a survey conducted by Harvard Business Review, where they reviewed over 900 different VC fund managers, they identified the fact that 30% of the deals that VCs eventually do come from deals shared by past colleagues and acquaintances of these VC fund managers. What do I mean? Let's take, for instance, a general partner that worked in a Facebook or worked in Google. This study is saying that 30% of the deals that they are doing comes from deals shared with them by their past colleagues. Then the second aspect is now referrals. 20% comes from referrals from other investors. So other investors like other VC firms, other angel investors, or other investors within the ecosystem. 20% of the deals that they do come from such sources. Now, the other one is 8% comes from referrals from existing portfolio companies. So some VC firms will have like 100 different portfolio companies, 60 portfolio companies. So 80% of the deals that they eventually do come from referrals by the entrepreneurs within their existing portfolio. Also, we see that 30%, based on this study, comes from the VC directly reaching out to the startup. Now, they reach out to startups that they have identified to be playing in sectors that have mega trends. Let's say, for instance, artificial intelligence. And we know that artificial intelligence has been dubbed to be the future. So because of that, most VC firms are actively seeking and looking for startups that are building something within artificial intelligence. Remember, they are all looking from that company that is going to be the next big thing. That company that is going to give them several times of their investment to cover up for all of the different losses. Then the last part based on the study is that another 10% comes from cold email pitches by founders. So either them sending cold email messages or sending direct messages or social media platforms. 10% of the deals that they eventually do come from those sources. Already from those statistics, we can see two key implications that as a founder, if you are looking for venture capital investment, that you stand a better chance of being noticed if you are coming from introductions and referrals from within the network of the VC firm, whether a network of investors, network of past colleagues, or network of their portfolio companies. So you stand a better chance of getting into their pipeline if you're coming from those sources. The second one also is that you stand a better chance if you are building something in a sector that the VC firm considers to be a mega trend, whether it's in terms of embedded technologies like artificial intelligence or blockchain or virtual reality, all of these different emerging technologies that VCs are actively looking at to drive the future. So we stand a better chance. So having gone through the different data sets, so now let's talk about 6 different strategies that VC firms tend to employ when it comes to deal sourcing. The first one is networking. Networking. VCs network a lot. Out of a 55-hour work week, about 22 hours is spent on networking, attending events, having dinners and lunch with founders, talking to other investors, talking to other experts within the space. So networking is a very, very critical aspect within the venture capital ecosystem. So as a founder that is seeking investment, you need to be able to know what are those different environments, what are those different spaces that VCs plant themselves. And you want to plant yourself in that place, you stand a better chance of having a conversation with a VC. Then the second one is inbound deal flow. Inbound deal flow is the startup founders themselves directly reaching out to the VC firm. And this, to a large extent, will depend on the reputation of the VC firm. Everybody wants to work with a Sequoia Capital, for instance. Everybody wants to work with an Angelus Harris. Everybody wants to work with a ventures platform because of several benefits that brings, either because of the sort of credibility that their reputation is going to give to you as having them on your cap table. So the reputation of the VC firm to a large extent affect the sort of inbound deals that they get. Then the third one is partnerships and collaboration. VCs, they partner a lot, they co-invest a lot, and to a large extent, it also forms part of their due diligence process. So one thing that VCs look out for when they're investing into startup is asking the question, who else is on their cap table? Because to a large extent, that would influence their decision process as to how credible is this startup. If many investors, well-known, renowned investors that are known to be very thorough in their due diligence process, backs a startup, it raises the confidence of that VC firm in the future potential of that startup. So you may want to be able to reach out to other investors to see how they can introduce you to another VC firm. Then the fourth one is sector focus. Now, some VC firms will want to have a specialized focus on a particular industry. That's where they're able to build strong and solid networks within that industry, and they get to be seen as experts when it comes to that particular industry. So they are able to leverage that unique sector focus for deal sourcing. Then the fourth one that I'm going to be talking about, or the fifth one rather, is referrals. We've talked about this in the data that we looked at. When it comes to deal sourcing, VC firms look out for referrals a lot, either referrals from other investors, referrals from past acquaintances, referrals from other entrepreneurs within their portfolio company. Especially for early stage investors, referrals is very, very critical, because at that point of early stage investment, you know that you're making a large bet on the founders, and not just the product itself, but on the character, the credibility of those founders. And what is more stronger than somebody giving a testimonial to say, okay, I know this management team and I believe in their capacity to execute, especially if you are still an early stage founder, then referrals is very, very critical. The last one, which is the sixth one, is scout. So VCs tend to employ the help of people like venture scouts, because most VC firms, they are very, very new. So they tend to employ the help of venture scouts, who are people that have network within the ecosystem. They're able to scan the ecosystem for potential deals and make that referrals and that recommendation to the VC firm. Sometimes they could also help give their thoughts in terms of due diligence. And in exchange, they get to be paid a fee, and some of them will be getting a carry when they're in the successful exits from that particular startup. Don't worry, in case you're wondering what does carry mean. In a new video that I'm going to be making in a couple of weeks, I'm going to explain what carry is all about. So that wraps it up with the 6 different strategies deployed by VC firms to sell skills. But it's important to at this point reiterate that in terms of views, in terms of improving your chances of getting into the door of a VC firm, that planting yourself within the network of a VC firm, either by getting introductions from investors or getting introduction from past acquaintances for them to introduce you to the VC firm, it hugely increases your chances of getting an investment. And don't tell me that you don't have any VC person in your network, you don't know any venture capital fund manager. Use your social media platform, use your LinkedIn, use your Twitter. Go to their links, follow them on their LinkedIn pages, follow them on Twitter, and try to look out for connections, people that are connected with them that you probably do know. And you can then approach that person that knows them to make an introduction for you to them. I'll give a particular instance. I was trying to meet with somebody that works in a top tier VC firm. I wanted to do some sort of collaboration. I reached out to her directly on LinkedIn. I sent her a message, but she didn't respond for several months. But then when I was now looking to our mutual friends, I then found somebody that is connected with her, and coincidentally we work in the same thing. And I know that person. We've sat on a panel together before for a startup demo day. So immediately I sent her a chat on WhatsApp that I would like to meet with this person. I understand that the both of you are colleagues. And then I stated clearly the reason why I wanted to meet with her. And then I asked for an email introduction. And immediately by the next morning, she did the email introduction and I was able to get a response and we scheduled a Google Meet to discuss further. Remember, it took me several months to get to this particular point, but only 24 hours I was able to get attention because of I leveraged my own network of people that I already know that are connected to the person that I wanted to see. So in summary, you are able to increase your chances if you plant yourself within that network. And the second part, again, is that you want to ensure that you are aligning what you are building to mega trends. Mega trends like artificial intelligence, like data, emerging technology. So once you're able to align yourself to this trend, you stand a better chance of getting the attention of the visitor. And when you do all of this, trust me, I'm going to say to you, congratulations in advance. So now, let's just imagine that congratulations, you found yourself in the pipeline of a VC pen. That is just step one. Whether you're going to eventually get an investment will largely depend on what happens at the due diligence stage, where they tend to review and evaluate status of potential investment. And in the next video, I'm going to be doing a deep dive into how VC firms tend to approach due diligence and look at all the critical considerations that they make. And I'll be doing it live based on experience. So thank you very much for joining, and please like, subscribe, and turn on your notification button for subsequent videos. Thank you. Peace.